Hey everybody, welcome back to Elysium. I believe this will be the final video. I think I said in an earlier video that the fourth would be the last, but there's just too much to say about what we haven't covered. In this video, we're going to go over a few things. We're going to go over Torpor, Diablerie, and victory conditions. But before I did that, I wanted to make a clarification. I don't think I drove this point home sufficiently, because in Magic the Gathering, the damage that a creature does to another creature is the same as the damage that a creature does to a player's health. That's not the way this game works. The damage that you do in combat and the damage that you do while bleeding are totally separate, different things. So I wanted to make sure that that's clear. Your bleed value is different from the damage that you do in combat. In case anybody was wondering, yes, combat damage and bleed are two different things. And with that out of the way, let's get on to damage types and what Torpor is. So I explained last video, like if you take damage and have no blood tokens to heal them, then you go to Torpor. Like Brock Sterling here, he could take 3 damage and still not go to Torpor. He'd have no blood on him, but he would still be okay. But if he took 4 damage, all of his blood would be gone and he would go to Torpor. There is a damage type that totally bypasses your ability to mend, and I mentioned it last time. It's called aggravated damage. And by the way, what does aggravated damage represent? Well, it's just a worse type of damage. It comes from things like sunlight, or fire, or supernatural claws, or enchanted weapons. It's just something that vampires do not easily recover from. However, to a non-vampire minion, aggravated damage is exactly the same as regular damage. If Alice Chen here, at full capacity, were to take 1 point of aggravated damage, she would immediately go to Torpor. Let's pretend that that has happened. Somebody hit her with some claws or something to do aggravated damage. She's now in Torpor. Now, when you're in Torpor, Torpor is this strange place where your vampire is kind of still under your control, but not in your ready area. They're not considered ready. Like, you can have a vampire who's locked, but is still considered ready. Ready and unlocked are not the same thing. So you can have a vampire who is, like Alice here, unlocked, but not ready. Ready is just this area. It's the vampires that you have full control of. Everything down here is unready, including your vampire in Torpor. Your vampire in Torpor can only do one thing. They only have access to one action, and that is the leave Torpor action. So on their next minion phase, when they take an action, they'll declare, okay, I'm gonna leave Torpor. And if that action is not blocked, they will lock and they have to burn 2 blood to leave Torpor. And then they will be allowed to come back up to your ready area. That's how you get out of Torpor. But remember, most of the time when you're in Torpor, you've got no blood. Let's pretend Brock Sterling got beaten up enough that he lost all his blood. He took 4 points of damage, mended 3 of them with his blood, but the 4th one took him out, put him in Torpor. Now he's got no blood. How does he get out of Torpor? How does he get out of his coma? Well, that's where the other action that pertains to Torpor comes into play. You can rescue them with another vampire. So Alice Chen could announce, okay, I'm going to rescue my vampire from Torpor. And if it's not blocked, it's an undirected action because it's targeting your own cards. So it's also at +1 stealth. If she's not blocked, she would lock, and she would have to burn 2 blood off of herself. Oh, sorry, that does not go to the pool. She would burn 2 blood to get Brock Sterling back into play. So, and by the way, both the 2 blood that are burned, they don't all have to come from her. Let's say he had 1 point of blood. He's got 1 blood on him while he's in torpor. She rescues him. You could burn 1 blood from him and 1 blood from her to get him out of torpor so that he can be active again and perform actions and he's not stuck in a coma. And then the next minion phase, he would be forced to hunt because he's got no blood on him. But, I've already been over that in previous videos. So that's how torpor works. You can get yourself out by using your action and burning 2 blood off yourself, or you can have another vampire rescue that vampire who's in torpor, and 2 blood have to be burned, whatever the case. By the way, you can target other people's vampires and rescue them from torpor if you want. So you might help out an ally and then expect something in return from them. It's really cool. So that's the good way torpor ends, but there's a way torpor can end that's not so happy. It is 1 more action associated with torpor. It's called Diablerie. Let's say Brock is in torpor here. So what is Diablerie? It's where a vampire kills another vampire by sucking out their soul. In this game, it's one way to finish off a vulnerable vampire. They're in torpor, they're comatose, they can't fight back. Another vampire gets to them. They can finish them off. It's a direct action performed with no stealth. Unless, of course, you target one of your own vampires. Then it's a non-directed action at +1 stealth. But most of the time, you're not diablerizing your own vampires. But it's possible. There may be a situation where that's the prudent thing to do. Anyway, if the Diablerie action is not blocked, then the vampire who is diablerized is burned. They go to the ash heap. Let's say this is the ash heap over here. That's it. They're dead. That's what Diablerie does. Now, if the Diablerie action succeeds and isn't blocked, the target vampire is burned. And if they are older than the acting vampire can increase their blood capacity by 1, and they gain a new vampire discipline or upgrade one from standard to superior. They can also take any items attached to the vampire. I believe retainers get burned when their master is diablerized. However, in this universe, Diablerie is forbidden. It's a big no-no. So after the diablerist diablerizes the target, an automatic, unstoppable referendum occurs. A vote. You need your princes and your justicars and your barons and your primogens. They're going to vote, and burn a political card to get a vote for this. It's just like a political action, only this cannot be blocked. And these votes are to determine whether or not a blood hunt is called. If not, then the diablerist gets away with it. If the votes favor a blood hunt, however, then the diablerist is straight up burned. So diablerizing is risky unless you're certain that you can secure the votes to get away with it. You can also do it with vampires that you consider to be expendable, if you want. And by the way, if you have no blood on you and you take 2 points of aggravated damage, the first one will put you into torpor. The second point will kill you. It'll burn your vampire. And if your vampire is burned in this way, it does not provoke a blood hunt, because a blood hunt is specifically for diablerizing vampires, Diablerizing is bad. Vampires killing one another is fine in vampire society. You just can't diablerize them. That will make the elders angry. But if you kill another vampire with like a flamethrower, there is no blood hunt for that. The vampire is just burned, literally. However, if you do have some blood, like if you have 1 point of blood on you, when you take 2 points of aggravated damage, the first point will put you in torpor. The second point of aggravated damage, it will kill you unless you burn a blood. So you, rather than burning a blood to mend, you're burning a blood to prevent yourself from dying. So aggravated damage works a little bit differently. The blood you burn, the first point puts you in torpor, and every point you take after that, you have to burn 1 blood in order to prevent yourself from dying. If you have no blood to burn, then that second point of aggravated damage will kill you. And this is why weapons that do aggravated damage never do very much of it, because it is overpowered. It's one of the few ways in the game to just straight up destroy a vampire. So, escape from torpor, rescue a vampire from torpor, or diablerize a vampire in torpor. Those are the 3 things that you can do that pertain to torpor. Oh, by the way, one point of interest. If you have a titled vampire in torpor, they cannot cast votes while they are in torpor. So, just in case you thought they could join court with the others while they're in a coma, they cannot. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention is how to achieve victory in this game. It's very simple. Whenever your prey, the player to your left, is ousted from the game, and it doesn't matter how that happens, if they leave the game for any reason, you, their predator, get 1 victory point. And if you're the last player standing, then you get 1 victory point. So, interestingly, you can be ousted and still win the game. For example, if the person on your left gets ousted, and then the next one as well, and the next person after that gets ousted, that's 3 of your prey that have been ousted from the game. That's 3 victory points for you, but then maybe your predator takes you out. They'll get 1 victory point, and then they'll get 1 more for being the last person standing. I'm assuming this is a 5-player game. So they'll have 2 victory points, but you'll have 3. And so even though you got ousted, you win the game because you got the most victory points. So this is not a game that goes till last person standing. It's whoever gets the most victory points. Interesting. So yeah, that is how you win. Well, I've got to wrap up this video, but in closing, I want to say this game is amazing. You can do so much in this game. You can invade the haven of another vampire. You can befriend arms dealers to get deals on weapons. You can fight with sorcery. You can fight with guns. You can fight with swords. You can drink blood from other vampires. You can drink blood from humans to replenish your vampire blood. You can send your minions on missions and make them stealthy. You can send minions to interrupt other people's missions. You can diminish the credibility of your opponents on social media. Your minions can meet up with other prominent vampires to hold court with voting on political actions. You can rescue your injured vampires. You can assassinate injured vampires. You can vote for a blood hunt to execute murderous vampires. There is just so much that is so well represented. It's a magnificent game. As always, though, thank you for watching.
The good son walked into the field. He is a tiller. He has a tiller's hand. but deeper down in his heart now, he's laid down queer plans against his brother and against his family. Yet he worships his brother